Alright guys, so here we go. Here's the new 112 cabinet that I bought. Just came in today, still hasn't really been broken into yet. So this is the setup here. This whole setup is going to cost you about $700. That's why I waited on it. And really sounds good. So here's this head. Remember, this is about $400 and this is $300 just for this. So what I was doing before was that I had a mono price 112, right? So I was basically hooking this head up to the mono price, and then it had an open back. So it's a completely different sound. So every video that I've made on this now kind of goes to shit because this is a closed back speaker. So we can talk a lot about this. Maybe I'll make another video on that. But that's the difference. Now every tone, every note sounds more bassy. Right? Sounds more bassy. That's what it looks like. So I'm going to turn the camera this way so you can hear me play. But it's basically just a 112 cabinet. I guess maybe I should just describe it. So, quite pricey. Like I said, $300. Although the speaker itself is only about, I think it's only about $100. So it's a 7080 speaker, the same speaker I had before. But like I said, it's the construction of the, because remember, this is analog. So it's the construction of the speaker. Because this is a closed back, meaning the back of it is closed. The other one that I was using, I was kind of doing like a, kind of like a DIY approach where I just put a wire to the end of it to like an other amp. And I just sold that amp for $180. Then I bought this. I put that money towards this. So open back versus closed back. Open back is good for like, anything other than hard rock or, metal. So what happens is that the speaker, whenever you hit a chord or note, the speaker vibrates, right? So if there's more air, what happens is that it tends to vibrate kind of more and then come back, right? The expansiveness is more. So you can't really play like tightness with it. So if the back of the speaker is closed, the amount of air is like kind of fixed, right? I'm sure it has little holes in there, but the amount of air is fixed. So what happens is that it's a tighter thing, so you get a tighter sound. So you get that. So that should sound tighter. Immediately what I noticed was it sounded more bassy. And like I said, all the settings that I've told you previously have kind of gone to shit here because it's a completely different sound. So every note sounds bassy, sounds more like a Marshall. You should really buy this. If you have this, you should buy this Marshall cabinet. Like I said, it's the way it's constructed, the acoustics of it. They put the Marshall engineering in it. The speaker is the same, but the way it's housed makes all the difference. Right? The way it's housed makes all the difference because the way it's placed, whether it's open back or closed back, the material that's used, right? The amount of open space, back there. So one thing I'll tell you, this is quite heavy and it's not like a cube. Because other people were saying, oh, it's just like a tiny, cube. No, it's not a cube. This is pretty big, actually. And it's, it's about 30 plus pounds. So it is heavy. And like I said, it's not a small cube. It is pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy. It's pretty big. You'd have to basically, but for the home, this is perfect. So usually like a Marshall 412 cabinet will cost as much as the amplifier, cost as much as the head because it's, you're paying for Marshall construction. So the speaker here is $100. You're paying for maybe $100 extra for Marshall engineering. And then the other $100 you're paying for the Marshall name. So is it worth it? Absolutely. So this is turned into basically a killer sound. So I'm going to start playing here so you can see, because I know you guys want to see, me play, right? So the sound quality shouldn't change because I'm going through a mic that's placed here. So I'll just play a bunch of stuff. I'm tuned to E. So let's kind of start off where we left off. Everything should be tighter. Right? Everything should be tighter. So each note has more bass to it because it's closed back. So it doesn't sound tinny. So all the EQ, I had to re-EQ it. So like I said, it sounds very Marshall-y, right? So what else? Let's start off with where we left off last time with the riffs. This is not that video, but we'll just start off from there. help me, so please God help me. It's trying to take it all away, 'cause I don't want to. All right, so we went in. So if you want to know more about how to play that, we kind of went into it with the Megadeth kind of Metallica Megadeth riff, and I said that that's kind of like a Dave Mustaine kind of riff, right? And then we talked about it in the Megadeth riff series. So that's a playlist on its own. So like I said, it really sounds like a Marshall now. So before, it was the same speaker though. Remember, the speaker is the same. The speaker was a 7080 selection, but it's the way it's housed and, the way it's engineered. So the packaging of it matters. How it's placed, like I said, open back, close back. So that makes it sound more Marshall. Now it sounds like a Marshall. So this is the first time this has actually sounded like a Marshall. So it sounds very Marshall-y. Like I said, I'm happy with it. Finally pulled the trigger on this. Like I said, I sold the 7080 kind of a 112 15 watt combo that I was kind of using as a speaker for this. Finally got rid of it, sold it for $180. Somebody bought it right away. It's the mono price. Somebody bought it right away. Of course, you lose money on it. I bought it for $300. Well, it's used, only goes for $150. So I sold that, put that money into this, and then, pretty happy. I just wish it was a little bit lighter, but anyway, I guess it doesn't really matter. So, yeah. So when you play tight, like I said, there's less air to move around. So the speaker, you're kind of restricting the speaker, and then you're kind of squeezing all you can out of the speaker. A mass hysteria, a metal mania, wish I would follow it, discover. Anyway, alright, so anyway, but they didn't use this amp though. In Unjustice Raw, they didn't use this. They used a different kind of amp. But that was just to demonstrate the tightness of this amp. I think that's when they kind of moved away from Marshall. In Master of Puppets, they'd already sort of moved away from Marshall. Into Mesa Boogie. sounds very Marshall-y. So, like I said, let's go back to this for a second. If you just have the head, I don't know how much of it you can hear, but you got to trust me. This is the first time I've faced the speaker towards you, right? Usually what it is it was behind this table right here. It was on the other side. So if you just have this and you're using some other cabinet, you're not getting the most out of this. That's when it's going to sound like a Marshall. You have a Marshall cabinet. And like I said, if you get a 410 or a 412, that's going to cost you more than, about as much as, as the same as the head. I think it's like $1,500 or something. So this is really, you wonder how they sound that good is because, you got to pay the money. Remember I told you that I was in a band in the Bay Area, Metallica, Megadeth, original band, and I was brought in as a lead guitar player, right? The minute I walked in there, remember that I told you the guitar player over there, he played like perfect, right? Almost like Hetfield. The minute I got in there, the thing that I noticed was that the sound was so, and then even the bass player said, dude, they seriously outclassed you in the sound because he had like a cabinet that was like so expensive. It was like $1,600 cabinet, $1,000, 15, almost like, I guess like a $2,000 guitar, Flying V, and then a head. So it's about $5,000 worth of investment, and then you can sound good. That's how they sound good. With shitty equipment, you can't sound good. This is probably like the first step, to just getting that sound. So. And of course, the JCM, it's going to be better than this. So if I were to buy like sorry to keep going back and forth. If I were to buy a different head, like a JCM 1-watt head, this would be perfect for that. I could just sell this and get that. Cool story. So someone's selling a JCM 1-watt, the 50th anniversary, which I guess in 2012, they had made these heads. Someone is selling a combo version of that for $1,200. So I basically called them up right here in LA, which is about 2 hours away from me. I called them up and I said, this is on reverb.com. And I said, all right, I'll give you $850 for it. Nope. I'll give you $950 for it. Nope. And he's like, dude, I'm losing money. I bought it for $1,200. I'm like, dude, it's a fucking used item. You want exactly the money? And, it's a collector's item. That's the only sort of item that won't lose money, right? Like if I were to resell this whole thing, right, I would have to sell it for like 50%. Since it's a collector's item, JCM 1-watt combo, so I basically didn't buy it. I bought this instead because, first of all, I didn't want a combo, right? A combo is not for metal. So I don't think that, and if he sold it to me for $850, I would have bought it. So I'm looking for the head, JCM 1-watt head. There's one in, someone's selling it, 2 people are selling it on reverb.com. One is from Finland, and the other one's from Italy. And I'm like, shit, dude. So basically, European, amps are different. They go on like 220 volts or 240 volts or whatever it is. So it's not going to work here. Some amps have a switch in the back of this that just says 240, right, 120. But this doesn't have it. So I would have to buy like a transformer and then put it in and all this kind of shit. Maybe even take it to a tech and then, so it's just too much. I mean, nobody in their right mind in America is going to sell the JCM 1-watt head. No one's going to sell it. You'd have to wait till basically, I hate to put it this way, but unless someone dies and their family sells it, no one's going to sell that. And even if they do, it's going to be bought right away. Right away. So I passed on it because I just said, I don't want the combo version. I want the head version. If I could ever find the head version, and like I said, I have to pay for it full price used, Marshall's not going to do it. So, I mean, they're not going to, they put out that shitty pedal. So if that happens, I'll just sell this and I'll put that head right on here. It'll be perfect. So, anyway. So let's play some Slayer. Since I'm tuned to E, I'll play something off Show No Mercy. almost sounds exactly like it. So. So most of the magic here is because this is closed back. And then each tone, it gives it that depth. It gives it that bassy depth. So. Eyes upon me, watching me in my perpetual dream. Dreams deceive me, my future depends on the rivalry. I'm falling from promises down to take risks on my own. The masterful science that freezes your mind and your soul. That's when Tom Araya is actually singing. Tom Araya is so badass. He's such a badass singer. Force of wonder, filling the head of a master and child. Worlds of wonder, is this secure, painless death? I'll fight to resist till the demons is in such a near. The darkness of lawyers, the demons are living in fear. Living my life and watching it come. So if you're a guitar player, lead guitar player, you could have played along with that. Thank you very much. Rose in hell, rose in that we eyes. From the depths of hell's remain, we all serene this night. Roll throughout the endless wars, how we still we must. The house is running above the wall, Lord Satan we trust. Stuck in the neck dance, you feel out in the air. Letting me step out your tape. Take down the show on the mercy this night. This show will fall all the tape. Right? You wonder how they get that so tight. It's because of this closed back speaker. And it's a Marshall construction closed back speaker. It sounds almost just like it. You know, it's a new toy, so I'm, you know, excited about it. Like I said, every single note has a lot more weight to it. I'm tuned to E, but I'll play this in E anyway. Anyway, all right, so it sounds pretty good. You know, I'm super happy about this. Anyway, pretty good. Sounds really good. Single notes. Sorry, I should have practiced that riff before. I think I played it too fast. Anyway, yeah, pretty cool. This is cool. Now it sounds like a Marshall. I almost feel like I got ripped off before, where it was like I just bought the head and I was like, okay, wait, why am I not getting that sound? Why am I not getting the Marshall sound? Now I understand, oh wait, you gotta go Marshall and Marshall. And this makes the DSL, like I said, very good for this price point. I mean, the whole thing is like $700 still, but that's why I waited this long to, you know, for that price point, you know. All right, let's do some fast picking, I guess, right? If we can. Sounds pretty good. All right, how about? How does this go? Sorry for the off-key solo for a little bit. I lost my place there. See, you got to know what you're doing. Overall, this is great. Completely satisfied with it. Highly recommend it. For the bedroom, this is perfect. Still, see this? I can't even turn it up past 1, and it's already too loud. If I go louder than this, it'll be too much, right? And sometimes these amps, the higher you turn it up, sometimes it sounds shitty. This is perfect for recording. I could just, put a mic right here. Whoops, sorry. I could just put a mic right here and record it. That's it for the band, for what I'm about to do. And, you can see that it's being overdriven by the overdrive pedal, super overdrive pedal. Basically same thing as a tube screamer, similar circuit. sustains for days, starts feeding back. Same over Duncan pickups. Sound is sweeping through the air, the dolphins saddle mountaineers. Your body's waiting for the lips that taste the leather around your lips. See, now you see why these guys suck so bad singing, is because it's hard to sing and play. See, I fucked up. If you focus on the singing, you're gonna fuck up the guitar. If you fuck up with the guitar, you fuck up the singing. So singing takes the last of it, because singing takes the blow, because you have to play the instrument properly. So you focus on, as much as you can getting this right. So then you're not gonna be able to, sing properly. That's why these guys, they're not able to do probably what they could do, right? Whoops, how does that go? See how each note sounds really good. Right? Without it used to sound really weak, right? Now that it has that bassy component to it, simply because it's closed back, now that sounds real. Now that sounds almost like, the album. My favorite Metallica riff. So yeah, sounds good, man. Sounds very good. Like I said, all the instances that I played, it sounds really like kind of like how the the album sounds, almost. Given that this is not a JCM 800, right? So you get that because, like I said, Marshall on Marshall, closed back speaker. Right? You'll never find a guitar player that can complement what you're doing. I'm not saying they're not out there. It's just that they're not here. What use is it for me if you're somewhere out there, in some other state? I can't find people like that here that could play like this. I gotta learn that riff, sorry. So anyway, sounds really good. Sounds really good. I gotta practice that so that I can play tighter. See, it also the sound is affected by the weather change. All of a sudden, it got kind of gloomy and muggy, and then I kind of lost that. Just sounded different, So anyway, pretty good, I guess. could tell I'm having fun with this. So again, to recap, so going through the overdrive pedal, super overdrive, which can be tube screamer. It's the same circuit, but this is made by the Boss company, right, instead of Ibanez. Marshall DSL1. Any EQ settings I told you before kind of goes to shit because this is a closed back speaker now. And then this is just a Marshall 112 speaker. Kind of, it's not compact, it's not small. It's basically like a, you know, like a 12-inch speaker housed by extra padding, right? And then it allows for just tighter response. Marshall on Marshall, now it finally sounds like a Marshall. What should I play out? Last song, guys. I played so much Megadeth already. Thank you.